Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a voice that could wake up an entire nation, not through a shout, but through the sheer power of rhythm and truth. Today we're talking about a man who wasn't just a poet, but a hurricane in human form. I'm talking about Subramania Bharati. In Tamil history, he's often called the Mahakavi, the great poet, but he was so much more. He was a rebel, a journalist, and a visionary who decided that the old ways of writing and living just weren't enough. He looked at a society weighed down by colonial rule and rigid traditions and decided to set it on fire with his words. It all started on a December day in 1882 in a small town called Ettayapuram. Born into a modest family, young Bharati was clearly special from the jump. While other kids were playing, he was weaving complex thoughts into verse. There's this incredible moment in history when he was only 11 years old. He stood before the learned poets of the royal court, and his brilliance was so undeniable that they bestowed upon him the title Bharati, a name associated with the goddess of learning and wisdom. Think about that, a child recognized as a master of the craft before he even hit his teenage years. That wasn't just talent, that was a sign of the revolution to come. As he grew, so did his hunger for freedom. This wasn't just about politics, it was about the soul of a people. Bharati's verses became the heartbeat of the independence movement. When he wrote about having no fear, or when he described the land as the greatest in the world, he wasn't just writing poetry, he was handing people a shield and a sword. He took his fight to the printing presses, working as an editor and launching his own magazine. But the British government wasn't exactly a fan of his revolutionary ideas. To avoid being silenced, he had to flee to Pondicherry, which was under French rule at the time. Imagine him there, in exile, looking across the border at his homeland. Most people would have given up, but for Bharati, the distance only made his voice louder. He spent those years in Pondicherry turning his struggle into some of the most beautiful literature the world has ever seen. But here is where Bharati truly stands apart from his peers. He knew that a nation couldn't be truly free if half its people were in chains. He looked at the caste system and saw only two groups, the virtuous and the wicked. He looked at the women of his time and saw untapped power. He spoke of the modern woman. He didn't just want women to be educated, he believed they were meant to rule empires and shape the laws of the land. This was decades before these conversations became mainstream. He challenged every boundary, social, religious, and gender-based, demanding a society where equality wasn't just a dream, but a lived reality. Before Bharati, Tamil literature could be dense and difficult for the average person to grasp. He changed the game. He brought the language down to the streets, making it simple, direct, and incredibly deep. Whether he was retelling the ancient epics through a revolutionary lens, or writing philosophical prose that felt like a journey through the mind, or even composing sweet ethical verses for children, he made sure his message reached everyone. He famously said that of all the languages he knew, none felt as sweet as Tamil. And you can feel that love in every syllable he left behind. Subramania Bharati passed away in September 2021, leaving us far too soon. But 100 years later, his words aren't just in textbooks, they're in the way people stand up for their rights. They're in the way a new generation of poets finds their voice. He told us to be brave, to be modern, and to love our roots. And as long as his songs are sung, the fire he started will never go out. Thanks for listening.